make a
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 7 of the Dynasty Fantasy Football League podcast. We skipped one last week, but we're back on track for the correct number. I've got two guests tonight. Jesse and Nick are here for the second and third time, respectively. So, what's going on, guys?
Hello. Glad to be back. Back.
Wrong, Nick.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Yeah, that's not the right Nick.
Can only hope.
Things are good here.
All right, so let's jump right into it. Since last week, just let me do this right. Since last week, there has been some movement within the league here as far as one trade to talk about. If I have it up here on the screen, Andy and I made a deal. I gave him Calvin Ridley for T. Higgins. Kind of some draft picks swapped in there, but to me, those weren't really that relevant. A third for a third, and then kicked in a fourth. I was telling these guys, I've had my eyes on T. Higgins for a while, and I just thought this was a good opportunity to, infamously, I traded for Calvin Ridley hours before he was suspended, and I've just been stashing and holding him all this time. Comes back as a blow-up game, and I decide it's time to sell. We'll see. I feel like they're pretty similar in the stats they're going to get, and T. Higgins is 4 years younger. So I just thought this was a good way to pivot off of Ridley and kind of capitalize on that value jump he had. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I know. I remember you getting Ridley, like I said, hours before he was suspended. I because of him being off for the last year, so I didn't realize he's 28. So yeah, to get somebody with the production that Higgins has at 24 or whatever he may be, I think it's really good value for you.
Oh yeah, Higgins is he's a wide receiver one on any other team, not with Jamar Chase. So, and again, in my opinion,
most.
I remember I got rid of Ridley just before he just dropped out of the league for a year for whatever purposes, and then so I got rid of him just in time. But
when I bought him from Dave, my price looked like it was bad, but the players I gave Dave to get him were like Clyde Edwards-Helaire and something. So it was like I really didn't give him anything to get Ridley. So
yeah.
Even though at the time it looked like I got destroyed in that trade, I think long term I actually won the deal because Ridley's the only player in that deal that's had their value go up since it happened.
Yeah, CEH's value has gone down.
And CEH is on my team now anyways, so. All right, so, let's look at last week, kind of a little summary of what happened last week.
Yeah, let's look at last week.
My team had a pretty good week here, a bounce back week as I beat Dennis, got to 1-1. Chris put up a big week against Doyle. That was probably the highest scoring matchup. I know Doyle was texting me that he was worried that he was going to lose by so little points that he was be mad that he didn't play Russell Wilson, because I think he played Mac Jones and Wilson outscored him by 12 roughly, and he ended up losing by 17. So he was kind of, at least I know he was worried that if he lost by less than 12, he was going to be pissed that he did not play the right lineup.
Yeah.
Colin and Dave. Colin got the win, but Colin's team now, it doesn't look as unstoppable as it did this time last week, losing Chubb for the year and Barkley for a chunk of the year potentially. Josh Jacobs, he had negative yards. Josh Jacobs, all of his stats basically are from receiving, and that's not traditionally what you would expect from Jacobs.
Literally all receiving, yeah.
AJ Brown's been underperforming. So I definitely see the chinks in the armor here where maybe it's more open than we thought. It does have Kyron Williams, which is unfortunate. He does just have a lot of depth. That's true. So Next matchup, Ben was high score of the week. He took down Andy, so they're both at 1-1. Chris is also 2-0. Collins 2-0. Nick still rebounds from his loss in week 1 to beat Matt.
That's close,
Ooh,
isn't it?
That was
That
another
was
close
Fourth.
match.
That was a
Matt has
narrow
had
victory.
Matt has had 2 incredibly close matchups. Matt outscored himself by 70 something points from the week before
Yeah.
and lost. And then the process is being trusted here as Nick
Ooh, yes,
finds
it
himself
is.
at 2-0.
Yeah.
And right here in the mix of things at
Ooh,
3rd place.
third place, Nick.
One of the 3 undefeated
now.
squads. So no, I mean it's pretty jumbled up here. I think it's pretty
Very early.
very early, but I think some of the teams are starting to establish where they're going to be at, and so we'll see. And some of the teams are definitely establishing where they're going to be at.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to start circling all 3 of these because I don't think this team is going much of anywhere. So,
Which I feel like you predicted that early in the season or before the season.
I've been predicting that all off season. So
Yeah.
this is me
And,
just doing a victory lap.
And I'm definitely okay with that coming to fruition. So
So now we'll look at this week. You guys have any matchup you want to? Was that Nick? Go ahead.
I was gonna say that weekly report that Sleeper sends out every week.
Yeah.
It looks different on mobile than it does on desktop. Because on mobile it has like team performance and it shows like who've overperformed and underperformed. So basically like how many points you had versus what your max points could have been.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a really nice feature because I can see how bad I set my lineup.
Yeah, it really it really rubs in your face that hey, you could have been so much better, you moron.
Yeah. Exactly. But that's all I had for this week.
All right, so let's look at a couple of these matchups. Jesse, we'll get yours out of the way. You're taking on
please do.
the back-to-back champ, defending Nick. I see this as a Nick win. Your team, like you said, we're not really expecting much out of it, but we got this. We got some Puka.
Puka madness, baby.
Puka madness. So we'll see how much. He had 10 catches week 1, 15 catches week 2. Here we go, 20 this week. It's happening.
Yeah, he's going to be. I'm curious to see what he actually becomes. Is he going to be something? Is he going to be just a cup fill-in?
I'm curious to see what happens when Cup comes back because I feel like they'll still play both of them together somehow, at least especially right away with like easing Cup back in. But I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea what that target share is going to look like once he's back.
You know what? So instead of previewing some of these, we'll kind of jump in and give a few predictions later. But I'm going to ask you guys' opinions on a few players now, so we have had some value changes since last week. So we'll kind of do that, right? I'll throw a name out there. You guys tell me, in a couple, sentence or two, what you think about their value, if anything changes, how you think that they could do the rest of the season. So we'll start with the obvious one, Jerome Ford.
You can go ahead, Jesse.
He's an 8 for me, an 8 out of 10.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. I made up my own scale. He's an 8 out of 10 on the hotness scale, I guess you could say. Like, as in, I would want him on my team. He looks dynamic. He looks like an all around type of player. He can catch the ball. He can run. Hopefully they can use him as just a complete Chubb fill-in. So,
yeah.
Okay,